Look, I opened this jar of rotten baby food, and well, a butterfly came out.
Probably so. Back then it was life or death, right?
Welcome to the Comedians in Elevators podcast. I've got my guest, Christine Lyons. Christine, say hi, introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Christine Lyon. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was hairstylist. I owned a beauty shop for 35 years, and now had cancer, and I had to start over. And I'm in digital film at the Los Angeles Film School.
Very cool. Very cool. So is that remote?
Yes, it is online.
Awesome. Are you doing Zoom to make movies?
We're doing all kinds of things to make movies, from
Very cool.
development all the way to distribution
All
and
right. All
digital
right.
film. At first, I thought it
Awesome.
was just for editing, but it's not. It's for everything, every
Yeah, it's a
single thing
whole,
that you can think of.
awesome. Awesome. Well, you ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Listen, to my regular listeners, I know you don't like when at the beginning of these conversations I ask you to subscribe. None of us like it. I don't like saying it. I don't like it being in here. But it's frustrating. You know what else is frustrating? It's also frustrating when I look in the back end of the YouTube channel and I see that 56% of you that watch frequently haven't yet subscribed. And I know this because I see it in the comments section. You say things like, I didn't know I didn't subscribe. And that's actually what fuels the show. Basically, it's like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask all the time, because it enables us to build and build and build. And we're going for the long term here. Hit the subscribe button and we'll continue to build this show for you. That's my promise. Thank you to all you guys that do subscribe. It means the world to me.
Yeah.
All right. So the main point of the podcast is to compare and contrast the comic versus the comedian. So I define the comic as any person telling funny jokes versus the comedian who's a funny person telling any jokes. So Christine, would you agree that you start as a comic and evolve into a comedian?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Because the comics are being funny is just in the moment, and it's telling a joke.
Mhm.
But the comedian is a performance. It's a job. It's the whole thing. So
So could you see that a comic also could have a job as writing jokes for a comedian?
absolutely, absolutely
Okay.
short.
Always going to throw that one in there,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. You can get material from anywhere.
Absolutely. Yes, but can possibly the comic actually have a designated role as the writer for the comedian?
No, I don't know,
Okay.
because you would have to be able to come up with stuff all the time, constantly. I
That's what
mean,
I would argue the comic is doing since they're telling any jokes, right? They're funny
the,
jokes, but anyone could tell those jokes. That's my definition of a comic,
oh
right?
yeah.
Very externalized. All
Mhm.
right. So first question, role of persona in comedy. So how much of the comedian's voice is a character versus their real self?
I think a character kind of develops from themselves,
Mhm.
which is an extension. They may see something they want to be, or they wish they could do, or pretend to be, or things that they thought of all the way from childhood to today, and also helps them get through different experiences in their life.
So does
Imagination.
authenticity matter or is illusion part of the magic?
Well, I think that's why we're all pretty much interested in it, is the magic. Is
Okay.
what everyone wants, is the magic. So it turns into that. It's a yin and a yang, and
Very cool.
staying there is it's kind of, it's funny when it happens, because when you are actually like writing or doing something, and things are happening around you exactly the same time that you're doing them, which is really a flow type thing, and it is magic. And you're like, did that really happen that way? And it did. And
Ah,
it's so yeah.
so you
I
just got to capture it on camera. That's the key, right?
That's exactly right. And if it was meant to be, it will
It'll,
happen.
It'll be there. So, punching up versus punching down. Where do comics versus comedians stand on this? So,
Beady,
let me
beady,
put
beady,
it in some
beady.
historical context. Did a jealous medieval prince become the first comedian by killing the court jester?
Probably so. Back then it was life or death, right? So, um, I like the Tudors a lot. I love history and those types of shows. And yeah, it was a really, really good scene with the jester. Did you see that in the
Not
two?
specifically, no.
Oh, it was really good because
Ah,
he was
okay.
like,
So,
they were playing around with the Our Father
mhm.
and how it was added toward the end, the end of the sentence, and later
Interesting.
they ended up dropping, the end of the prayer.
Very interesting. So that definitely relates. So I'm gonna have to look into that, see if what more references there are. So is the audience's agreement with the comedian a form of permission or alignment?
I guess you get permission because you're in light and you take weight off of people and they can relate to things. And, whenever something happens really traumatic, laughter is the only thing that can happen where you don't feel any pain. So I think that's kind of what it is. And
Okay.
the body is made out of different kinds, all these nerves, right? So, and hormones. And I had to learn a lot about that because I had a neuroendocrine cancer, which
Okay.
was brain hormone type things. So I had to learn about the yin and yang of hormones because I had to learn how to, work with all the difficulties that I have sometimes.
Yeah. So do you
So
feel that you were being punched up and down in that experience?
probably, oh yeah,
Okay. So
definitely.
all right. So cultural translation of comedy. So how do jokes that work in one country bomb in another?
um, I would say delivery. Also, the language is completely different. One mama starts at the beginning and the other mama starts at the end. So, which mama are you talking about? So it may not be too funny if it's
Uh-huh.
someone that in a culture that you don't make fun of, that type of thing.
Interest. That's a good. Your
Because there
mama
are
jokes. I
lines.
haven't.
There
Yeah.
are lines you cannot cross, and so you have to know those in order to be
Interesting.
able to tell the joke.
So you're saying there's something like so some kind of crowd work in a different country where your mama jokes really are offensive. Now I haven't
Could
seen it,
be.
or
I
if someone
mean, yeah, I'm
maybe
sorry.
someone hasn't dared to do it. I don't know if you've actually seen it on like a Netflix special or something else where they did that. Someone did that.
Um, I'm not sure. Not
No, I
sure.
haven't seen it. So our
Not
comics are
directly about your mama per
okay.
se, but it was just as an example.
Okay. So are comics more universal while comedians are more culturally specific?
I think comics are universally. I would say yes, because a comic, you're talking about people who tell jokes or comics versus the magazines
Okay.
comics.
Oh, the comic books. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would argue is the comic book version is just it's very similar to the real life comic where they're just telling jokes anyone could. Just like when you put the text on top of the character in the book, it's
Right.
basically the joke fits for almost any character, and that's the comic, right?
Correct. And
So,
we'd have to be
uh-huh.
more. Yes. So yes, I would agree.
All right. So crafted work versus crowd work versus crafted work. So if comics riff like influencers in the comments section and comedians perform like in reaction videos, where's the sweet spot?
Okay. If comics
Riff like stage,
riff,
do crowd work
okay. And
and comedians perform. I would argue they're doing that memorized material, right? So where is the sweet spot?
mhm, between the both of them, because you're going to have hecklers or
Sure.
someone intervening or, just for example, like Matt Ralph, he said it was so funny when I never seen anyone in my life have a barcode, a Spotify on their arm where he passed the phone over it and it played a song. And it was like completely different, a techno person in the audience. And had he not done that, I've never seen that before.
You
It
said
was
it's a
funny.
tattoo?
Yeah, and it's a tattoo on someone in the audience, and he passed the phone over it, and it played a song
Interesting.
right
I
there
hope
on
it's a
the.
temporary. I hope that's a temporary tattoo in case that QR code link
Yeah, I think
breaks.
so.
Then
Like,
you have otherwise
yeah,
you have an old tattoo that doesn't work anymore. Oh, that sounds
I
painful.
don't
So
know.
what?
Maybe it drags or plays backwards. Who knows? Depends on your skin type.
Yeah, it might be. It turns in that QR code turns digital to vinyl. So what happened? So what happens when a comic leans too much into crowd work or when a comedian gets heckled?
For too long, going on and on about the same thing could be, yeah,
Mhm.
you'll start to get tired of repetition. Anyone doesn't want to
Yeah.
have the same note playing over and over. So you would maybe, start something that way. So improv is very something that you really need to know if you're a comedian in any way, in any shape. And that's really kind of what it is anyway. It's coming up with something to make somebody laugh, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So
So advertising and self-promotion. Who advertises themselves more? The comic, the comedian, or the magician? You know that place where you're not conscious and you're not sleeping either? That's your power bill to the electric company. Right here. I want us to be here with free energy, where the Wardenclyffe Tower meets the Eiffel Tower. But that's not where we are. We are here, where you've got the utility and you've got residential solar. Between these two, we know which one saves you money. This is where we can go in the meantime. But this is where I want us to be now, and this can be done now. So let me deputize you to represent DOSE, Department of Solar Efficiency, and let's get on the podcast and get the message out today. See you soon.
the comic would be like more distribution type thing. So they would be advertised different, like more commercially. And well, also the comedian too, but they would have to do more self because they are the show versus the comedian or the so and then the magic. I think if you're magic, everybody already knows.
Okay, fair enough. So
They
is
show up by
self-promotion
that
seen as
time.
right? So is self-promotion seen as selling out or is it necessary for survival?
It's very necessary because
Okay.
it's all about yourself.
All right. So
So anyway,
censorship, So censorship and offense. So does a comic avoid offense while a comedian courts it to prove a point, like a magician?
sure, yes.
How
Oh,
so?
how so? Well, a comic has to be more like global, globally accepted, a wider audience than if you're going to do the comic book again. We're going to use that as an example.
Mhm.
And as far as the comedian having to advertise, is what you said. What was it again? Sorry again.
Well, so does a comedian, so does a comic avoid offense, and does a comedian prove it, court controversy to prove a point?
Yes, they could. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
take George Carlin, for example. I mean, so he proved a point, I think. About
You mean like every joke, right? Every joke
yeah,
he's proven a point.
exactly. So
All
yeah,
right. Yeah,
absolutely.
George, he's
That's
definitely a
more
good
of an
example.
extreme, but yeah, I love George Carlin. He's so funny.
What makes it extreme?
Just because he says things that other people wouldn't normally.
Okay.
He's stands on his convictions, and so and that could be a little bit too much because there was a lot of controversy behind that, but that's what he wanted to do. So, you know,
Yeah, I think
I
Oh,
think
for
so.
sure. He's definitely the man. It's a very good structure. I mean, he basically tells you his setup for the joke is the solution to the problem that you don't know yet what that problem is, and that's his punchline, right? You're like, what is he talking about? Then boom, here's the problem, and you're like, oh, that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense, right? Very
Mm-hmm.
good structure. It's excellent. AI has been copying for that reason. You know, he can come up with new stuff all the time. So who survives better in a cancel culture environment? The comic, the comedian, the magician, or the mudslinger?
In a canceled culture, what you mean? Or like if someone was to get canceled and they
Uh-huh.
couldn't perform, who would hurt
Exactly.
the most?
Who would survive better?
Who would survive? I think the comedian.
Okay. What about the magician or the mudslinger?
I think so. I think they would, but they would have to come up with some new tricks.
Okay. Fair enough. So, timing and delivery, is it a science or an art? So, do comics rely more on structure and comedians more on rhythm and emotion?
Yes, but I think they should rely on it all.
Okay.
Um, yes, I think comics is more structured than a comedian. A comedian goes with the flow, has a lot of improv. They have a structure of what they're going to say, of course, but yeah, they're more laid back and they're just timing is very important and delivery,
Mm,
everything, the sound,
absolutely.
the way you even hold your face, every single thing matters. So
Everything.
yeah,
So,
everything.
right. So laughter versus applause. So are comics chasing laughs and comedians chasing applause breaks that validate the message?
Yes, I think so. I do.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because when
Oh,
when they get that applause, I can always feel it because it's a big audience, right? That's a lot of energy in that room. Okay. So yeah, that's a great feeling to have that big applause, the real one. So yeah.
ah. What
They
about a
know that
small room? A
same
small
thing.
room and
You would feel
applause.
it. You would feel it. But a larger crowd, we're talking big, right?
Yeah, potentially.
We're talking on a big scale. So yeah, on a bigger
Very
scale, yeah. And on every scale, yeah, because it's still the same feeling. I asked Chat GPT if how brains were mapped. And he
okay.
said that like if everybody's watching the same movie, their brains map the same. And if
Okay.
they've been traumatized or something, they have the same map brains, or if they have this type of thing and stuff. So that was pretty interesting because we're all
Okay.
like plugged into the same thing at the same time. See
So
what I
are you
mean?
right? Are you saying that ChatGPT is suggesting that we have an external consciousness to our body?
Now, I don't think that's what Chat GPT was talking about.
Well,
But
the mapping, how does the mapping work? You're talking about
I'm talking about like, when they map the brain because they're
mhm.
neurologists,
Okay.
yeah. So
Or you're saying what sections of the brain light up when you talk about certain things?
I don't know. I would think right up here in the front, but that's me guessing. I didn't actually get any further than that. But I
Fair
was
enough.
doing some character development for some screenwriting one and English one at school. So
Okay.
I want to know
Very
how
cool.
people think and
Well,
how they
you know, ChatGPT can draw you a picture as well. It doesn't just do text.
and
So comedy as
they do a lot.
commentary.
Huh?
What's that? Say again?
Chat GPT could do a lot.
You can. It's getting better every day. I mean, that's the crazy part. So eventually, I'm sure if you ask, I've probably tried asking it to write a joke. It's not very good, but it is getting better. It is definitely
Be
getting better.
surprised. We have some funny stuff. After a while, it gets to know your personality, and after a while, it's kind of a reflection of yourself. So it's pretty funny sometimes. Sometimes
Yeah, it's getting there for sure. So comedy is commentary. When does a comedian cross into being a philosopher or a preacher?
a philosopher is more about life, and a preacher is trying to make you live your life that way.
Okay.
you
Interesting.
know,
So
like
is that good or does it dilute the humor?
it depends on on the reference. I don't think it could. I mean, it depends. You know, you got to know the rest of the story. You know, the problem of what he's charged with. You know what I'm saying? So,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
so
So, comedy and vulnerability. I argue that comics hide behind their jokes and comedians expose themselves. If you agree, which one is braver?
I think the person who exposes themselves is brave.
Okay. But then you do agree that comics are hiding behind their jokes?
Probably so. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm. Because they didn't say it was about them, did they? You know, so
Well,
you never know. I mean,
that's
I
true.
told
They do have
jokes
to.
about my grandma always told jokes and she loved to laugh. And, you know, so it I guess it just depends on what you're talking about.
It does. It does. Well, so
So,
here on the Comedians in Elevators podcast, we've got a tradition where the previous guest asks a question for the next guest.
oh my
And so
goodness.
the previous guest was Sandra Smith, and she has a question for you, Christine, but she doesn't know you yet. So her question is,
Okay.
in this crazy world, how do you stay focused on your dreams and goals?
Break it down into small pieces
Hmm.
and is most relevant and matters the most to what I want to achieve in my life and my dream.
Very cool. So keep it simple, right?
Right.
Very
You know,
cool.
don't make it so big, smaller. And it's easier. I found that, and I learned that from school. I mean, it's a really good school.
Start with the smaller pieces and build up into something bigger instead of trying to have something just float in midair, right?
Exactly. And that's what I've learned. And I've also actually see it pan out too, you know, work. So
Absolutely.
it really does work. So just take it in small pieces. And you know, you ought to be able to feel what's important and you should know better.
That's true. You should definitely have a sense of of right and wrong. So,
Or you're right or you're wrong. So you know, and basically you don't worry about what other people say. You worry about what you think. I mean, did you let yourself down or did you do what you were supposed to? And if you did, reward yourself and talk about what other people say. You know?
I agree with that. So, last question, legacy. Who gets remembered? Will the comics Type 5 survive time or will the comedian's cultural point of view be more timeless?
Um, for some reason, I just think a comedian is more, I don't know why,
Oh,
because
no, for
it's
sure.
been about their whole life and it's been about them and you've accepted them. You thought they were, you know, funny and you watched them everywhere you went. You know what I mean? You talked about them and it was, did you see this show and this one and that, you know, and so that's what it is. It's a legacy is what you leave behind for someone else to enjoy or and to be inspired from or you know so
That's right. I agree with that. So, Christine, where can everybody find you online?
anywhere
Oh,
Christine Lyon Lorio or Christine Lyon or Noonie Frog 67. That's my
okay.
nickname. Mom gave me that when I was a little girl. And
Very
so
cool.
that's it. And you can
Well,
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I did a search. I think it was like on 38 different sites. So I don't know.
okay. Very
Been
cool.
doing it for a long time. Ever since I mean, you know, they didn't even have what Polaroid cameras. So I got to watch the camera evolve. It was fun.
Definitely. Now we're in a whole new world where we're gonna have holographic movies, right?
That's right. That is gonna be yeah. Well, and the cars. Have you seen the new cars with the crystal controller and it just you don't do anything but just beep, and it goes where you want to.
Oh, there's
I'm
all
so
sorts of new stuff coming out. So,
proud.
Christine, thank you so much for being my guest. And for everybody else, please like and subscribe, and we will see you
Okay.
in the next one.
All right. Thank you so much. All right.